One thing's for sure, if you spend enough time in saltwater around coastal environments, you're gonna get wet. I mean, that's just the plain reality of it. You know, your boat gets wet, you get wet, your tackle gets wet. You know, there's not been very much that you can do about the boat and yourself, but there is, however, something that you can do about your tackle, especially your terminal tackle. I've always used the modular approach to organize my hooks, my jigs, my flies, and my plugs. In other words, I would use different size boxes and then stow them in either a bag or on my boat. But the problem with that was that, you know, inevitably the boxes themselves would get wet, and so then all your hooks on your plugs and the hooks on the flies and what have not would also get wet and corrode. Recently, Plano has come up with a series of stowaway boxes that incorporate a very simple use of an O-ring, right, along the recessed rim of the box, and then developed a latching system to press the top of the box up against that O-ring, basically making that compartment waterproof. The way I approach this whole system is I'll subdivide the boxes into the type of gear that I'm going to be using. For example, I'll have a hook box here that, you know, this is basically my trolling box, so most of my hooks in here are larger sizes, and so I can put these dividers where I want them to accommodate the hook size, right? Then I can fill it full of the different size hooks. Then I just label the transparent top according to the hook size and stuff. And then lastly, I can actually close this thing up tight, and it's completely sealed from the weather. So I have a very organized hook box that I can see at a moment's glance what I need, and most importantly, the hooks won't be rusty when I open the box. And I'll really divide my whole system this way, you know, whether there's some of the larger boxes that'll accommodate different size plugs, floating plugs, you know, some subsurface plugs. I'll use some of the other size boxes like the medium and the small size for things like flies. It's especially important to keep them dry because not only do you want the hooks not to corrode, but also because the feathers and the fur can retain water and change the appearance of flies and make them less attractive to fish. Another cool thing that I found was some of the larger utility boxes are really good for what I call messy baits. You know, some soft plastics that have scent on them, and inevitably they have some goo juice that goes in there. I found with the waterproof utility box here, I can keep all the goo in here and off the rest of my gear. And then lastly, you know, they have the larger utility boxes, and I'll keep these for more of my bigger items. Say, you know, I have flares or some safety items that I want to keep in here. It has that same seal right here, as you can see that O-ring, and I'll have my tools laid up in the tray, up on top, down below. I'll have my flares and other safety items, and that's a pretty handy little box where I know my emergency gear, when I need it, will be ready to go. So all in all, what this system does for me is it lets me approach my fishing tackle in a modular system, whether I use hooks, jigs, flies, plugs, tools, or emergency gear, and it gives me the ability to keep them waterproof so I know they'll be ready to use when I need them.